Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Woodstock Committee of Adjustments. Do I have anyone with a conflict of interest on any of the applications tonight? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes of the July 12th meeting, moved by Peter, seconded by Bill. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Alicia tells me there's no business arising from the minutes or correspondence, so the procedure tonight will remain the same as ever. The county planner will give her report on each application. I will then go back to the applicant to see if they wish to speak. I will then ask if anyone is opposed to the application or in favor of the application online. And then it goes back to the committee for a resolution. So the first application tonight is Brad Syringa. Brad, are you online? I guess not. Goes to Andrea for your report. Go ahead, Andrea.
Thank you. So the first application tonight is for lands located at 399 Masters Drive, which is in the Sally Creek subdivision. The applicant is proposing to reduce the required interior side yard setback from 1.2 meters to 0.6 meters and to reduce the minimum required side yard setback for eaves and gutters from 0.6 meters to 0.15 meters. And the proposed relief will facilitate the construction of a 10-foot by 18-foot storage structure or accessory structure with a walkout foundation. And the walkout foundation is generally not typical for accessory structures, but in this case, it is required due to the on-site grading of the property. If any of you have been out there, you'll notice that it drops down significantly. And so that's why the applicant is proposing the foundation. And then it'll be a walkout. The subject property is 631 approximately square meters, and it contains a single detached dwelling that's currently under construction. The application was circulated to a number of agencies. The building department indicated that they are supportive of the application. They're especially supportive of the application as they don't feel that the accessory structure will have a negative impact on any neighboring properties. I can just scroll down here for a second. You'll see that this is where the accessory structure is being proposed. Block 48, which is directly south, is city-owned property, and it's for stormwater management purposes. And so the fact that the accessory structure will be built closer to the southern lot line, adjacent to the city property, staff are satisfied that this will not negatively impact neighboring properties, and it also will not have an impact on the city's Block 48 for stormwater purposes. The proposed relief also generally can be considered minor in nature, as it won't have a negative impact on the site's ability to provide adequate space for drainage or grading. Further to that, staff are satisfied that although the southern lot line or the southern setback is reduced, there is still ample space to be able to access the rear yard and the building for maintenance purposes and access along the northern lot line. And so in light of that, staff are satisfied that the proposed relief can be given favorable consideration.
Thank you, Andrea. Brad, still not online? All right, anyone online wishing to oppose the application? Anyone online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Hearing no one, comes back to the committee for a resolution. Could I have a resolution to accept the planning report? Moved by Glenn, seconded by Jennifer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next application is 390 Mill Street, Josh Howard. Josh, are you online?
I am.
Thank you, Josh. Go ahead, Andrea.
Thank you. So this application for minor variance is for lands located at 390 Mill Street. And I'll share my screen here again. The applicant is proposing to increase the maximum accessory building lot coverage from 75 square meters to 104.05 square meters, as well as to increase the maximum building height for an accessory structure from 4 meters to 4.18 meters. And this would facilitate the construction of a detached garage on the subject property. As the committee can see, the subject lands are quite large. They're much larger than the standard sized R1 lot. The site is approximately 0.9 acres in area. And the proposed accessory structure is actually replacing an existing accessory structure. The existing accessory structure is it's approximately 67 square meters in area, whereas the proposed is about 104 square meters in area. And there's currently a single detached dwelling and then the existing detached garage. And if this application is approved, the detached garage would be removed. So the application was circulated to a number of agencies as well. And the building department indicated that they are supportive of the application. Just as I previously stated, the parcel is considered an oversized parcel, and so its building staff were satisfied that a larger accessory structure could be supported on this site. Further to that, the building department indicated that the overall lot coverage for the accessory structure, as well as the existing dwelling, would come in at 7%, whereas 45% lot coverage is permitted in the R1 zone typically. And then, as indicated, the applicant is proposing to increase the height of the accessory structure. And I'll just scroll down to the building plan. So you can see that the accessory structure is being proposed along the southern lot line. But staff are satisfied also that that despite the fact that there will be an increase in height and a larger accessory structure, we don't feel that it'll have a negative impact on the neighboring property. Further to that, I should note that a couple of years ago, back in 2018, the committee approved an application for a detached garage on 390A Mill Street. And so that's this property. And that was for an accessory structure that is 115 square meters with a height of 4.9 meters. So there's a precedent has been set in the area, and staff are satisfied that this is consistent with what has already been constructed in the area. So in light of the building department's comments, additionally, we feel that, or based on their comments, and in addition to our analysis, we feel that the proposed relief for to facilitate the accessory structure is minor in nature, and it's compatible with the area and therefore desirable. And in light of that, we would recommend that the application be given favorable consideration.
Thank you, Andrea. Josh, you have a positive plan report. You need not speak unless you wish.
I'm okay.
Thank you. Anyone online wishing to oppose the application? Anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Hearing no one, comes back to the committee for a resolution. Can I have a resolution to accept the planner's recommendations? Moved by Howard, seconded by Peter. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Josh, there's a 20-day waiting period, but your application has been approved. Thank you. Next application is 105 Chapel Street, Diane Miller. Diane, I believe, is online, so we'll go to Andrea. We'll go to Andrea for her report.
Thank you. So this application for minor variance is for lands located at 105 Chapel Street. The applicant is proposing to reduce the minimum setback between a covered porch projection and the front lot line from 3.5 meters to 2.3 meters, and to reduce the required distance measured from an intersection from 7.5 meters to 4 meters. And this would facilitate the construction of approximately 7.4 square meter covered porch in the front yard of the lot, abutting Chapel Street. And just scroll down here to, I don't think that's very clear. So we'll just go back to we can do the aerial imagery. And so currently on the subject, oh, I apologize. Energy saving electricity here. The lights turn off automatically. So the subject property is approximately 951.4 square meters, and it contains a single detached dwelling and a detached accessory structure. The deficiencies on the subject property are primarily related to the location of the existing dwelling on the lot. And so as you can see, the existing dwelling has been built relatively close to the intersection. And then the porch on the front of the dwelling will project into the site triangle. That being said, as the committee can see, the subject dwelling already encroaches into the site triangle, as well as it encroaches into the exterior side yard width. And so, that brings me to my next point, is that based on staff review, we realized too that additional relief is required from the exterior side yard width, and that is to reduce it from 4.5 meters to 3.5 meters. So we're recommending that this also be included in the requested relief if the application is approved. And this would further facilitate the covered porch on the subject property. And so then just to restate, that front porch is already, the existing dwelling is already within the sight lines and the exterior side yard. Further to that, the building department indicated that they're in support of the application, and they further noted that it should be noted by the committee that the intersection of Elm and Chapel Street is not a typical intersection, in that it's at a dead end, and it has minimal traffic, and they don't feel that encroachment into the sight lines would be an issue in this area. The subject property is in keeping with the existing zoning, and the proposed covered porch we don't feel will have a negative impact on the neighborhood, neighboring properties, or the intersection. And as I indicated, just like the building department has indicated, we don't feel that it'll negatively affect sightlines or traffic in the area. So in light of this, we'd recommend that the application be approved, and we've included the additional relief in the recommendation for the committee.
Thank you, Andrea. Diane, you have a positive planning report. You need not speak unless you wish. All right. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Anyone online wishing to speak against the application? Hearing no one, it comes back to the committee for an approval of the planning recommendations. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Bob, seconded by Glenn. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Diane, your application has been approved. I believe there's a 20-day waiting period, but you're good to go. Thanks,
Thank
Diane.
you.
Thank you. Fourth application is from Jody Onishenko and Peter. Both of you are online, I believe.
Yes.
Very good. Andrea, go ahead.
Okay, the next application is for lands located at 518 Highland Drive. And the applicant is proposing to reduce the minimum required front yard depth from 6 meters to 3.56 meters to permit an addition and porch at the front of the dwelling. And so the addition is basically a front entranceway. I can scroll down so that you can see what the applicant is proposing. And so as the committee may recall, this application or this property was already before the committee. I think it was about a month ago, and that was for the detached garage. And so at this point in time, we are dealing with the addition and the front entranceway and the front porch. And so I should note, though, that staff reviewed the application and we realized that the actual relief that is required is from section 5.2.2.5, which is the established building line, which exceeds the front yard depth. And that's to reduce the minimum required front yard depth from 7.5 meters to 5 meters. And this would facilitate the addition and the porch. And so basically, we would recommend that, or we're not recommending further circulation or further public notification, as we feel that the application or the intent of the application has not changed. It was just a matter of capturing the correct relief. And so we had initially, or the applicant had initially applied for the relief from the front yard depth. So we're just basically redirecting it to the correct relief that's required due to the established building line. Which I believe the committee is fairly familiar with. We've dealt with many applications for established building lines in the past. And so we circulated the application. The building department indicated that they are also in support of this application. They consider the addition and the porch to be appropriate, and they don't feel that there will be any impact on the streetscape of Highland Drive. And also it does not create any sightline issues. And then it should be noted also that the addition only stretches across a portion of the front elevation of the existing house, as opposed to covering the entire front face of the existing dwelling. Planning staff have reviewed the application and we are in support of the application. We feel that the request is minor in nature, in that, again, just as the building department had indicated, we don't feel that it'll impact sightlines. It's not impacting any parking or the ability for the site to provide landscaping or open space in the front yard. It also will not affect drainage or grading. And we feel that the proposed front porch and addition are desirable, as they're in keeping with the character of the area. And we also feel that, and then we also feel that because it's not, the front porch is not the entire front, or the relief is not for the entire facade of the dwelling, we feel that the request can also be considered minor. And so in light of our review, we would recommend that this application be approved based on the revised relief that we have suggested. And additionally, we have included a condition that requires the permit to be issued only based on this plate that I have showing the committee right now, just so that we have we can make sure that there's continuity between what is approved and what the permit's issued for. So in light of that, we'd recommend approval for this application as well.
Thank you, Andrea. Peter, Jody, your planning report is positive, so you need not speak unless you wish. Thank you. Anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Anyone online wishing to speak against the application? Hearing no one, comes back to the committee for the revised recommendation and condition. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Jennifer, seconded by Bob. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Peter, Jody, your application has been approved. There's a 20-day waiting period, and my compliments on your design. That's a good-looking house, good-looking property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last application is for, looking for the address here. I guess there isn't one. Carolyn Baker, are you online?
I'm here, yes.
Thank you, Caroline. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So the final application for the committee tonight is for lands located at 75 and 85 Brock Street. And the applicant is requesting relief to reduce the minimum lot area for a multiple attached dwelling from 150 square meters to 120 square meters per unit. And also to permit the projection of unenclosed stairs from 3.5 meters to 2.3 meters in the front yard, and this would facilitate the development of a multiple attached dwelling house with 8 residential units. We'll just scroll down here to the building elevations. You can see what the proposal is going to look like. So these are the steps that the relief is being proposed for, and then the applicant is also requesting to reduce the area per unit within this on this property. So the subject property or the subject building, as you can see, is being proposed. Will be 3 stories in height. Each unit has a private balcony or patio and will be accessed by a private entrance at street level with no common interior corridors. So just the access for each unit is at street level. The subject property is about 0.24 acres in area, and it currently consists of 2 residential properties, as you can see. If the subject application is approved, I should state too, there's a single detached dwelling on each property. So if the subject application is approved, the applicant will consolidate the 2 parcels and will remove the 2 dwellings to facilitate the new proposed development. The building department was circulated in the the building department provided comments through the circulation, and they indicated that they are supportive of the application. The subject lands are zoned C3, which is entrepreneurial district, which is larger part of our downtown area, which supports multiple attached dwelling units, such as the one being proposed to the committee tonight. The development is subject to site plan approval, which at that point will address servicing, grading, drainage, landscaping, fencing, snow storage and snow removal, and garbage storage and whatnot. And so that's all addressed through site plan control. Further to that, just so that the committee is aware, because parking is generally an issue with multi-residential unit developments. In this case, the applicant is proposing the minimum required amount of parking, and they are meeting all of the other required setbacks, lot coverage, any of the other zoning provisions within the C3 zone, aside from the 2 items that are before the committee tonight. And then just to go through the policy section quickly in the official plan, the subject lands are designated entrepreneurial district, which again is part of a larger part of our downtown. In these areas, it's recommended that the uses be a mix of residential and commercial. And within the residential component of this area, it's low and medium density residential are supported. And so that would allow for singles, semis, townhouses, and this is a form of a townhouse, as well as low-rise apartments. And so the use is a permitted use under the existing policies as well as the existing zoning. And in fact, multi-residential and intensification are supported in these areas to try to improve street traffic or pedestrian traffic in the downtown and to promote the downtown for revitalization. And then as indicated, the subject property is zone C3, entrepreneurial district zone, which allows this type of development, as well as it has a cap on the height of the building, which is 3 stories, which is in keeping with what the applicant is proposing. With respect to the requested relief, staff are satisfied that the reduction in the relief for the lot area per unit is appropriate. It can be considered minor in nature and desirable for the development. We don't feel that the reduced lot area will have an impact at all on the ability for the site to provide adequate landscaping, outdoor amenity area. It can meet the appropriate setbacks. And generally, we feel that the proposal is well suited for this site. Further to that, we are supportive also of the reduced encroachment for the enclosed steps. We don't feel that it'll have a negative impact on Brock Street. It won't impact sight lines or traffic or the ability for the site to provide snow storage or landscaping So we feel that that's supportable as well. And then with respect to the proposal being desirable for the area, which is one of the four tests of a minor variance, we also feel that the proposal is compatible with the area and in keeping with the character of the area. With respect to the character, the subject property, because it's in the downtown, it's subject to the downtown design guidelines. And so the type of development is supposed to resemble Victorian style buildings. And in this case, we feel that the applicant has come forward with a proposal that is definitely desirable for the area and is in keeping with those design guidelines. Further to that, in the area, there is a mix of residential, multi-residential uses. There are single detached dwellings as well as fourplexes, semis, and then there's the old Broadway school apartment buildings or apartment building. And so we feel that it's maintaining that character of the area as well. I should note too that we don't feel that the proposal will have a negative impact on neighboring properties. The closest dwelling is to the north, and the applicant is proposing a more than adequate setback, more than what's required under the minimum provisions of the zoning bylaw, as well as they're proposing a board fence along the perimeter of the site and ample space again for landscaping and buffering between the surrounding properties and the proposed development. And so in light of our review, we would recommend that this application be given favorable consideration.
Thank you, Andrea. Caroline, you have a positive plan report on behalf of your clients. You need not speak unless you wish.
Thank you for the opportunity. Just a brief few sentences, if you don't mind. I just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Hackler. I am in agreement with her planning opinion and assessment of the proposed variance. And I just also want to add that the owner is looking to offer rental dwelling units to increase the provision of rental units in Woodstock and is including smaller unit sizes, hoping to provide more affordable rates. So I just wanted to add that small piece, but otherwise certainly in agreement with Ms. Hackler's planning opinion and happy to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Anyone online wishing to speak against the approval of the application?
I would like to speak against.
That would be
Alexandra.
Alex Stemler. Alexander
Yes.
Stemler.
Yes.
Go ahead, Alexander. Keep your comments brief and to the point, please.
Yes, sir. Okay. Good evening. I'll try not to take up too much of your time. I actually live directly beside the proposed subject property, 73 Brock. The applicant has come forth again, but with a new proposal this time, and I'm curious as to where the snow will be removed to from the new parking lot. How many parking spaces would be available? It was one space per unit before, and the concern was where the visitor parking would be.
Alexander, let me stop you for a minute. That
Sure.
would be part of the site plan process, which this committee has no control over.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have lots of, okay. Yeah, there's nowhere, I don't know what to say then. The dog food factory is right down the road and they already park everywhere. I have 100-year-old trees on my property that are on the edge of the property, and the root system would be damaged by construction around them. It blocks the windows from our kitchen and our dining spaces. The unit, it'll look directly into the backyard where my little children play and swim. All of the units would. I've submitted letters before, and I can have them anytime for my realtor and my father, who is actually a real estate lawyer. They confirm that the building will diminish the value of my home, which is my largest investment. It's proposed an 8-plex next to our home, and nobody wants to live next to that, and that wasn't in the cards when we purchased it. At the meeting in the fall, the council unanimously voted against this. And they said exactly, it doesn't fit in with the neighborhood. Feel free to come back with something smaller that is more fitting, and we will gladly review it at that time. And instead of doing that, the applicant has come back with more of the same, and it's now twice as big.
Alexander, let me stop you again.
Yes,
The
sorry.
only thing in front of this committee tonight that we are asked to deal with is the permitted projections into required yards. Your concerns are more with zoning and site plan. We have no control over that. All we're
Okay.
asked to do is relief from 2 zone provisions. And that's before the committee, and that's all. I'm asking you if you have any specific objections to either of those.
The plan, yeah, my trees. I
No,
have,
has nothing to do
no.
with your trees.
okay, then I don't understand, and I guess I don't know.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Comes back to the committee for resolution. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the planning recommendations? And if there's any discussion, we'll have that. Moved by Peter, seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion on the resolution? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Caroline, your application has been approved. There's a 20-day waiting period, but your application is approved. You're good to go as far as the committee of adjustment minor variances.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. The only thing remaining is a motion to adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn by? Moved by Jennifer, seconded by Howard. All in favor? Carried. We're done.